Welcome to another episode of Nerdy Movie News Roundup, the show where we round up all of the latest news in the world of nerdy movies. It's gonna be a quicker episode today. I normally do this show on Fridays, but I just couldn't get around to it. So I'm doing it on a Sunday, so I just kind of want to get through it quick, just kind of get through everything so that I don't miss another week. It's really not that big of a deal because there really aren't many news stories on Saturday or Sunday anyways, so it is what it is. But just so you know, like, I guess on Friday it's going to be stories from Monday through Friday as opposed to like Saturday through Friday. But who really cares at the end of the day? I certainly don't. So let's get into it. First up, we got a trailer for Lightyear. We got a new one. I continue to think this movie looks pretty cool. I know like a lot of people are kind of jaded by like the remakes and the reboots and the reusing old IP, blah blah blah, and I've especially seen that sort of sentiment be applied to this movie. But I don't know. I think it looks neat. Like the thing is, I don't like the biggest talking point I've seen is like, oh well, if like, why not just make an original movie? Why are you using the Buzz Lightyear IP? But it's like, okay, well, if this was an original movie, it would still be the same movie. And if say you were to watch this movie and it had nothing to do with Buzz Lightyear and you liked it, why would it being Buzz Lightyear make you like it any less? Like that's I don't really understand that argument, but I just think it looks like a cool sci-fi movie. I'm excited to see how like all the like mental gymnastics like all the Pixar theorists go through to try to somehow make a YouTube video talking about how it ties into the Pixar theory. That's gonna be really funny to see. But I don't know. I think it looks like a cool sci-fi movie. And you know, whatever. That's me getting off of my soapbox. Then we also had this weird, like, it's called the DC World Needs Heroes trailers, and it's basically just showing footage of upcoming 2022 DC movies. We saw some Aquaman 2. It was just kind of Jason Momoa standing on like a cliffside. Who cares? We saw some more of the Flash. I feel like we saw most of that footage. We saw like one extra shot of like. He has like a mask with goggles on now, so I think that's new. But nothing too crazy. We saw some footage of the Batman. That was all footage that we'd seen before. But we got our first look at Black Adam, which I think is the most interesting thing here. Now, so there's Black Adam. I think the suit looks cool. It's also one of those things with like The Rock being in this role. You know that none of that is padding. Like that's just him. And I do think that having that level of just physique, like if you're able to get an actor that's a decent actor and has this level of physique, I think that's just really cool. And then we also got to see Dr. Fate. I think he looks really dope. And Hawkman, he looks cool too. And yeah, not too crazy of a trailer, but it is our first footage of Black Adam. Now I will say, like, it looks like this is in a foreign country because this movie does have that that piss filter that Hollywood just always uses when there's a scene in a foreign country. Like it's like, you remember that Chris Hemsworth movie Extraction? I think it was like India and something, and for whatever reason, I'm not gonna make any assumptions as to why they do what they do. It looked like someone took a pee all over the movie, and I'm not quite sure why this is the filter that they're using. I don't know, but I do think that from like a set design perspective and a costume design perspective, I think it looks cool. So I don't know. I don't really know what this movie's about. Like I don't know anything about Black Adam. Um, I'm not quite sure why or if he's with the other superheroes at the show or if he's fighting against them, because I think Black Adam is like an anti-hero or something. Are they the Justice Society? I think they are, but again, I'm not sure because I don't know too much about these characters. But yeah, it looks interesting. Okay, let's move on to our first like proper story. Got Andor season 2 has been kind of confirmed. This is coming from Collider. Talking to Swedish news site Dagens Nyheter, Stellan Skarsgård revealed, "We start with Dune 2 in July, and then in the autumn, it's time for the second season of the Star Wars series Andor." And that's coming from Collider. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting little slip up there. I don't think season 2 has been officially confirmed, but I mean, if Stellan Skarsgård is just saying like openly like, "Oh yeah, we're filming season 2," then presumably it's been greenlit. And that's cool, I guess. I still don't have much anticipation for the show. Like, I didn't really like Rogue One all that much. It was fine, but like I've never gone, boy howdy, do I need a Cassian Andor spin-off show. Especially when like we know what happens to his character. So I cool. If it's a good show, it's a good show, but it definitely is just weird to me that this is the show that this is the guy who they decided to give a spin-off show to. Okay. Next up, Warner Brothers are being sued by Village Roadshow. This is coming from Deadline. Warner Brothers, which managed to evade litigation in 2021 despite a hail of protests over parent Warner Media's aggressive tactics with streaming service HBO Max, has been hit with a lawsuit by Village Roadshow. At the center of the complaint is The Matrix Resurrections, the fourth installment in the franchise, which has limped toward the $150 million mark at the worldwide box office after its December release. Village Roadshow contends that Warner Media hobbled the film's commercial prospects by favoring streaming. So, yeah, this is one of those things that I'm honestly a little surprised that hasn't happened more, which is Warner Brothers getting sued. Because if you remember last year when they did their whole, like, all our movies are coming to HBO Max day and date thing, they did not tell their distributors or the people or like the production companies that they were working with, they didn't tell them that they were doing that. And they didn't tell the filmmakers that or anything. And it's one of those things where a lot of those people, obviously the production companies and the distributors, but even a lot of like the actors and directors, like a lot of their like salary and their money was going to come from the box office. So for Warner Media to just completely undercut that revenue without telling them and making deals with them is absolutely insane. And apparently we're going to see Village Roadshow actually go and sue them. My guess is that they went to places like Lionsgate, who I believe helped fund like Dune and Godzilla. My guess is that they made a deal and Warner Media like coughed up a bunch of money. Kind of similarly to how we know that Disney coughed up a bunch of money to Scarlett Johansson for the whole Black Widow thing. That's just my guess as to what happened, but maybe Village Roadshow was just like, nah, not cool, bro. We're going to get a bunch more money from you. So, and yeah, and I mean, it obviously doesn't help that that Matrix bombed. Now, would the movie have done much better if it didn't have the HBO Max release? Who knows? Because it obviously was not very well received, but yeah, I mean, I'm still baffled that Disney and Warner Media did what they did. You have contractual agreements. It's really baffling that they were just like, no, we're Disney and Warner Media. We don't have to follow the rules. So, well, we'll see what comes from that. Next up, we have an episode count for X-Men 97. It's coming from Collider. And they have this challenge, I believe, looking at 10 episodes for the first season that's going to come out mid-next year. And they're starting it soon after ours ended. So that's from Eric and Julia Lewald. They were like writers on the original cartoon. So yeah, they kind of let it slip that this show's gonna have 10 episodes, and that's actually like a pretty intriguing number because I feel like that kind of differentiates it from other like Saturday morning cartoons in the sense that having like 10 episodes kind of it makes it feel more like a series, you know, like a streaming series as opposed to like the ultimate Spider-Man Saturday morning cartoon. It makes it feel a bit more like Invincible, you know. So yeah, and it should also be noted that this show is being made by Marvel Studios, which I feel like not a ton of people are talking enough about because it's like it's obviously being poised as a sequel or a continuation to the original Fox X-Men cartoon, but part of me just has to wonder if like, you know, where we're dealing with a bunch of multiverse stuff, if somehow some way this is going to like connect to the MCU in like a proper way. Like I don't know, but I have to wonder just judging on just it being made by Marvel Studios. And yeah, so I'm definitely intrigued by the show. But yeah, it should also just satisfy fans who wanted to see more from that original animated series. Okay, next up, we got a set photo here from Miss Marvel, and it's what appears to be like one of the drones from Spider-Man Far From Home. And that's pretty intriguing. Like, you know, it seems like they're somehow gonna be involved in Miss Marvel. Now, part of me wonders like, okay, is it just gonna be like tech that's being stolen or stored somewhere that Miss Marvel is gonna come across? I highly doubt we're gonna see like Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio come in as a villain for Miss Marvel. But I mean, maybe we could see like some of like the guys that he was working with. Maybe they are like now villains that Miss Marvel is gonna have to fight. I mean, maybe, but yeah, somehow these drones are gonna be involved. It could be like the main focus of the show, or it could just be like a one-off thing where she's stopping a crime, and they're involved. So it'll be interesting to see what comes from this. But yeah, that was a set photo that exists. Okay, next up, Mission Impossible 7 and 8 are going to be a farewell for Tom Cruise. It's coming from Screen Rant. According to a report from Variety, the plan for Mission Impossible 7 and 8 is for them to serve as Cruise's send-off from the franchise. The report notes that the films are eyed as a culmination of the franchise and Ethan Hunt's individual journey in it. Plot details on Mission Impossible 7 and 8 are still heavily guarded, so it is unclear what threat Ethan Hunt will go up against in his potential final outing. Mission Impossible 7 and 8 wrapping up Hunt's story is not confirmed by Macquarie, Cruise, or Paramount at this point. So, yeah, that's something that's not too surprising, but is still a little sad, of course, because, you know, Mission Impossible is a franchise that, I mean, it's like Tom Cruise has been carrying it since its inception. You know, they tried at one point with that one without Tom Cruise, right? I think it did they make they made a Mission Impossible movie with like Jeremy Renner, right? Did they? No, that was a Jason Bourne movie with Jeremy Renner. My bad. Yeah. But yeah, Tom Cruise has been carrying it since its inception, and you know he's great in it. He's like the one actor in Hollywood that is a lunatic and will do whatever. And he does it all himself. And yes, but the truth of the matter is that the guy is 59 years old. There's only so much more that he can do really before it, you know, he's physically unable to do it, or it just becomes drastically irresponsible to allow him to continue to do this stuff. So yeah, I can't say I'm too surprised by this move. You know, I do have to wonder if these movies hadn't been delayed so much due to the pandemic, like would we have maybe seen him do a couple more? Like maybe, but it was what it is. So yeah, these are going to be his send-off movies, and will we potentially see like the mantle be passed on to somebody? I don't know, but at this point, like if they move forward with Mission Impossible movies, it's like I don't know, say we get Henry Cavill as the replacement, although he died in 6. But if say we get some young buck in there to be the new face of the franchise, it's like I don't know. I don't know who out there is gonna have the same balls as Tom Cruise and just do these insane stunts. Um, and like that is part of it, you know. So part of me wonders, I'm like, do you continue Mission Impossible after Tom Cruise leaves? I mean, they will, because you know these movies make a lot of money, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Okay, next up, Russell Crowe is going to be in Sony's Kraven the Hunter movie. This is coming from Screen Rant. Almost a year later, Kraven the Hunter has finally started adding new cast members, with The Hollywood Reporter revealing that Russell Crowe is joining the latest Spider-Man spin-off film. While his character is being kept under wraps, Crowe is reportedly going to play one of Kraven's family members, possibly his father. Crowe's Kraven the Hunter gig is now the second Marvel role, as he will be joining the MCU later this year in Thor Love and Thunder as Zeus. The actor is also known to the DC crowd as Jor-El in Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. So yeah, Russell Crowe is going to be in Kraven the Hunter. His family member, maybe his dad. Probably. That's cool. You know, am I excited about Kraven the Hunter? No. You know, we've had 2 Sony Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man in Venom and Venom 2. They're not very good, but we're getting Morbius later this year. Does that look especially good? No, it does not. But I hope it's good, and I hope it can instill some confidence that we could get some good stuff out of this Kraven movie and the Madam Web movie. So, but I mean, listen, adding a talented actor is never a bad thing. So we'll have to see what comes from this. Okay, next up, Anthony Ramos is gonna be an Ironheart. It's coming from Screen Rant. Deadline has brought word that In the Heights and Hamilton star Anthony Ramos has been cast for the Iron Man spin-off MCU series Ironheart. Sources report that the Emmy and Golden Globe nominee is set for a key role in the series that is being kept a secret. Word is also swirling that Ramos' character will be introduced in a similar vein to Jonathan Majors' Kang, the Conqueror in Loki, with plans to carry his character over into future Marvel projects. Again, like, sure. You know, I don't know much about Ironheart, but I mean, you know, it's kind of an intriguing concept where there's this person who, you know, kind of becomes the new Iron Man, but not even in a way where like Tony Stark passes on the mantle, but she just kind of is able to make her own Iron Man armor. And I mean, that's kind of an interesting concept, right? That's, you know, like the Iron Man archetype at the very least is probably something that you're going to want to carry on in the MCU moving forward. So I'm definitely interested in that show, but you know, I don't know much about the character. And I mean, yeah, I like Anthony Ramos. I thought he was really good in The Heights. That's where I saw him in. So whoever he's playing, I'm sure, why not? Okay. Next up we have, okay, well, I forgot to make a little thing here, but, we got some Lord of the Rings images. Let's just take a look at them. We got this person, this person, and this person. You know, I don't know okay. I don't know anything about Lord of the Rings. So as somebody who's never watched the movies, never read the books, whatever, these images look fine to me. It looks like fantasy nonsense. I don't, and people are mad about it. Now, this is not a straw man. People are mad because black people are in it. It's not it, and it's not a straw man. It really isn't. Now, I've read the arguments, and they say that Tolkien, the Tolkien's work is based on European mythology, and you can't have black people in it or something. Or maybe there are black people in it, but I think they're like a different race. So these people, like, they're in the wrong like species or something in the Lord of the Rings or something. I guess there are no black elves, or I think this is a dwarf. You can't have a black dwarf, I think. Okay. Now, again, I have not read Lord of the Rings. I haven't watched the movies, but I think the point I'm about to make is just a universal point that can apply in various situations. And it's that adaptations don't need to be 100% accurate to the source material. Like, when you're making an adaptation of something, your first goal should be, hey, let's just try and make a good movie. Like, let's capture the spirit of the original, but let's make a good movie, and let's be free to do our own thing to a certain extent. You know? Like, when you're making, like, a Batman movie, like, do you need to have Lucius Fox in there? Like, not necessarily. Like, you look at, like, the 1998 Batman movie, no Lucius Fox. He didn't show up until Batman Begins, right? Until Christopher Nolan took over. Because Tim Burton probably went, well, Lucius Fox is not really a necessary character for the story that I want to tell. And so he didn't have Lucius Fox. Okay, and that's just an example, but it's one of those things where it's like, you don't need to, it doesn't need to all be there. It doesn't need to all be exactly the same. I'll even go a step further. Zack Snyder, he wanted to make his Batman kill people. Now, is that accurate to a lot of the Batman stories? No, not really. But that's the story that he wanted to tell. And whatever, he told it. Now, whether or not you think, and so this is the thing. Whether or not you think that Batman v Superman is a good movie or not, I don't know that it should be dependent on whether or not Zack Snyder's version of Batman is exactly the same as your preferred iteration of the character. And this is just a suggestion. When you're watching this Lord of the Rings show, maybe just watch it as a show. Like, maybe kind of remove your preconceived notions and just maybe try not to go black people in Lord of the Rings. No siree, not on my watch. You will not tarnish J.R.R. Tolkien's legacy on my watch. J.R.R. Tolkien said, no black people allowed in Middle-earth. Maybe don't do that. Maybe just go, all right, Amazon, you're doing your thing. I'm just going to watch it and judge it as its own show. Maybe do that. I don't know. Because here's the thing. In an adaptation, there are always going to be changes. Now, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm sure that in the Lord of the Rings movies, there's a lot of stuff that was changed from the books. I'm just guessing. I mean, you go to The Hobbit, like, these motherfuckers had to stretch it like a tiny book over 3 movies. I'm sure there's a lot that was changed there. So, and if you're someone who's, like, totally cool with the movies, well, guess what? It's probably because they were really good movies. Now, I haven't watched them, so I'm just, I'm just saying that they're probably really good, and you probably weren't thinking too much about the changes. So maybe just wait and see if the show is good. That's all I'm saying. But I would just like to point out that it's not a straw man. People are literally just mad that black people exist in Middle Earth. Yeah. I'm just gonna just putting that out there. Okay. Next up, this is our last news story of the day. It is, of course, the title of the video. The Defenders are going back to Disney. And by Defenders, I mean all of the Marvel Netflix stuff. This is coming from Variety. Netflix's Marvel comic book series Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Punisher, and The Defenders are all leaving the platform for good at the end of February. Variety confirms. The rights to these series are reverting back to Disney, but the studio has not yet announced plans for where Daredevil and company will go. Streaming platforms such as Disney Plus and Hulu are possibilities. Disney had no comment when asked by Variety. Well, this is very interesting. So first off, I would just like to say that from what I understand, I don't think that this was always in the cards. Like I don't think that Netflix had like a limited timed like deal with Disney. From what I understand, Netflix made these shows and they were to have these shows in their library in perpetuity. So again, from what I understand, I could be wrong. Please let me know in the comments. If I am, I think that Disney would have had to go to Netflix and ask them for like the not the permission, but they, my guess is they would have bought the rights to these shows back from them. And yeah, that's just very, very interesting. So what's gonna happen with this now? Well, what I'm just gonna say what I hope happens, because again I have no idea, but I hope this means that Disney is now, or Marvel are maybe going to explore adding Marvel content to Hulu. Because the thing is that I don't know if they're going to want these shows on Disney Plus. They might, but I kind of doubt it. Just because they're a bit more mature, right? You know, does Disney want Kingpin beating somebody's head in with a car door? I don't know that they want that on their platform. I'm going to be honest. And so my kind of hope is that they put these shows on Disney Plus and potentially revive some of them on, or not on Disney Plus, put them on Hulu and potentially revive them on Hulu. I would really like to see that. Like, I'll be honest, I soured on the idea of Daredevil being officially in the MCU after I saw how they handled Kingpin and Hawkeye. I mean, honestly, that was a downgrade on the level of going from Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight to Jared Leto in the Suicide Squad. I was baffled at how poorly they handled Kingpin and Hawkeye. I guess, to be fair, it's also just an execution of the character, not necessarily because he wasn't like a mature character in that. But even still, it's just one of those things where I was like, ooh, do I trust the MCU to handle this properly? But I think I'd have a lot more confidence if it was on Hulu and it was maybe still in the MCU, but still kind of its own thing. So I don't know. I'm just kind of like rambling, giving my thoughts of what I hope happens. But truth be told, we're really just going to have to wait and see where they put it as far as what that's going to mean for how they handle these properties moving forward. I mean, I will say this, right? There is still a lot of ambiguity on whether or not these shows are MCU canon, because like when we look at Kingpin in Hawkeye, he was fairly different from the Kingpin in Daredevil, right? Like, he appeared to be a lot stronger, a lot more durable. Like, so so it's very ambiguous as to whether or not it is the exact same Kingpin. But I mean, if they drop these shows on Disney Plus and we see them put them in the MCU section, then that would be pretty definitive. That would be like a pretty definitive answer as to like whether or not they're canon or not. So yeah, I guess it'll just be really interesting to see where these drop, because it's going to tell us a lot about where, like, it's going to answer a lot of questions about canon, and it's going to give us some hints as to future like routes that Marvel can go. You know, maybe they're going to start doing more mature stuff in Daredevil, and then what does that mean for, you know, stuff like Blade and you know, Ghost Rider and Moon Knight potentially, and the Punisher. Like, these are characters that maybe they won't be like if we see an MCU mature rated content on Hulu, could we potentially see an R-rated Blade movie? I don't know. Like, it's going to be very interesting to see where this goes and what it means for the rest of the MCU. But yeah, that stuff, we really have no idea yet, and we're just going to have to kind of wait and see where these shows land. But yeah, what we do know for sure is that this is the end of Nerdy Movie News Roundup. the show where we round up all of the latest news in the world of movies. Let me know what you thought about all of the stories that we talked about in the comments down below. And I will see you next week, on Friday. So come back then, and subscribe and ring the bell and do all the stuff that YouTubers tell you to do at the ends of their videos. Do all of it.